Hey Antonio, how's everything
Hey,
going?
doing good, doing good.
Doing that's it's good to hear. So thanks for hopping on. I guess just tell everyone kind of what a little bit about you, what you do, where you're located, how long you've been in the business for, and I know you closed a bunch of big deals and everything recently. Just kind of dive right into that.
Well, my name is Antonio. I've been in insurance since 2009. I was with a captive company from '09 to 2020. Really good on the personal lines, struck out a lot on the commercial side of it because, the appetite was really narrow for the company I was with. So I decided to become independent. Um, Became independent in 2020, grew a good book of business in about 3, 4 years with the personal lines. But I ran into the same issues I kind of ran into with my old company, whereas we were really heavy on the maintenance side. So I didn't pay too much attention to the commercial part of the insurance industry. But the good thing is a blessing in disguise. California went, haywire on the personalized no comp and collision. A lot of cars you couldn't switch over, carriers leaving the state. So we focused everything on commercial, and I tried doing it on my own, calling and going door to door, and when I'll stop by at a local restaurant, give them my card, and it just wasn't really working. Um, it would work maybe less than 50% of the time, maybe two, 3 out of 10. I'll get a lead, and out of those leads, I'll probably close maybe one every now and then. So it wasn't too effective, but it did bring some kind of business in. And then I think with Ethan, I saw your ad on Facebook. I think in June, July, I believe, and I think our first month was August, right?
Yeah,
August.
I think so at this point. I know you've been with us for a little while now.
Yeah, and I know I was a little hesitant on starting because no one wants to spend money, but to make money, you have to spend a little bit of money, and regardless of whatever you're trying to do. So I said, you know what the heck? I always been that kind of person where I'm progressive thinking, where I need to do something different if it's not working, and signed up for the 1 month, and I think on the first couple of weeks we were bombarded where I think I called you right that we had to slow down because I couldn't keep
Just
up with
dial
the
it down a
quote.
little bit.
Yeah, and honestly, I was unprepared, and I felt that it was a good investment because I was getting so many leads, and they're good. It just I couldn't keep up with the pace, and I didn't have a routine down. And once I kind of got my feet under me and I figured out how to do this, I coached my guys on the process, and little by little, we started closing these big deals. I think the first month with you, I think we ended up closing a little over, well, all new business in the office, about maybe 120,000 dollars in 1 month. And usually for us, a home run was 40, 50,000 a month would be really good. And this month we're, I think, right at 100, and we have about 3, 4 deals that are just a matter of tweaking a couple things, and I think we got another big month in front of us. So it's been a blessing in disguise for the whole industry going down, but the process and the working with the leads has been pretty good. And because we use Slack, we're already familiar with the little knocking on the side, the little window popping up. So we always have our eyes on the on the monitor. And when we see that light up, we take turns on the leads. And yeah, the guys have been doing awesome. And then I've been really good with, following up with all the leads and, getting more business in the office.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm glad that you're doing so well and you guys are expanding the business so quick. I know every time you're messaging me back on Slack, got this $15,000 deal, this $20,000 deal, this $10,000 deal. And I love to see it because I love to see you guys succeed and everything. As far as, because I know a lot of lead, there's like a lot of lead companies out there in insurance, a lot of businesses are looking for leads and everything.
There
What do you
is.
say as to like the intent and like the method that we use to actually bring those business in? Is there higher intent there? Are you like because with some other lead channels, I know I get a lot of questions as to like, like what makes you different than them? Like why, what makes you guys better? What makes you different?
Honestly, what I like about your setup is the intent is really high because they're responding to your messages or emails or however you get a hold of them, right?
Mhm.
And they're like, sure, yeah, I want to quote. And then we call them, not instantly because I like to research them a little bit, but we call them and they're like, yeah, yeah, I spoke to Jessica or whatever the name that's on the message, and it clicks right away. And as long as you can strike up that conversation with them and really build a rapport, the and you have all the carriers or a lot of tools to sell the insurance, you shouldn't struggle to sell. Honestly, I think our closing ratio is probably more than 50% now. I think probably 60%. And I'm looking forward to closing more deals. And the good thing too about the method you guys use is they'll respond for one restaurant that they own. But when I talk to them, oh no, 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 that restaurant, I don't need it. I need these four motels on this side. And I'm
Mm,
just like, wow, really? And I know one of the clients, it was a French cuisine restaurant. I talked to him for a while. We were going back and forth, and he wasn't really interested in moving the restaurant yet. But he had some hotels down the street from his restaurant, and that deal was huge. I think it was like $30,000 or
oof,
something like that. And the guy was like, I need insurance on it. Send him the quote. I didn't think he was going to buy it because it was just so expensive. But he said, I'm the only broker that got him a price. So he bought it with me. And
there you go.
it gave me that one. And but I still have my foot in the door for that restaurant. So that restaurant, I'm gonna pick at it, and hopefully in a couple of weeks I'll send you a message saying, "Hey, I finally got that restaurant with me too," so we can really bundle up that business with us from that one client.
Awesome. No, I'm definitely looking forward to that text, and I know you're going to be able to do it. And also, too, I
Yeah,
mean, you're the way that you're approaching it as well, because like at the end of the day, it's really your method that you guys are using. We're bringing you interested businesses, but at the end of the day, you guys are the ones selling the policy. You're the one talking on the phone with them. What would you say, like the second we bring you someone, we send out an email, that business owner says, "Hey, I'm interested in insurance." What's your proven process to see what you do, just to help some of the other clients that we have, just like what exactly is it for you that you're following or you're doing? I mean, I know you mentioned you were doing a little bit of research on them before, and then you were kind of getting your foot in the door. Like, just walk me through some of that process there.
yeah. So what I like to do is I don't know if it's profiling, right? But I researching the client, right? So what I do is I get the lead in, and before I jump on a call with them or email them or whatever, I do like today, right? Or yesterday, we get a call, or what was that restaurant? It was a half coffee, half bar at night kind of deal.
You guys have a
It's out
combo.
in yeah. So what we did was, well, what I did was I looked up the the name of the business, which is probably what it was, the name of it, right? We got the name of the business. We go to the city that county's in. So we'll Google what the county that city is in. Go to the county website. You look up the fictitious business name research or search index. You look up the business name and it'll tell you who the owner is. So usually it's an LLC or corporation, or if it's a sole proprietor of the person's name. And that's if it's a sole proprietor, then your research is done on that part. So once we get an LLC or corporation name, we go to the Secretary of State website in California, plug in that name, and then it'll populate the articles of a corporation. So it'll show who are the members, CEOs, and all that good stuff. We
Hmm.
get all that info, right? And then if we know they sell liquor or it's a restaurant, more likely to sell beer, we go to the ABC website, which is the alcoholic beverage control website, and we'll get their alcohol license number. And then we're checking if they had any disciplinary actions on that license. Because it'll say, right, sold to minors or whatever the case would be.
Yeah,
So that's stuff that carriers are looking for. So if you see two or three actions, you might not want to write it with the preferred carrier, maybe something in surplus lines. Um, Once we get that, I'll Google, look at their reviews. I'll look around the building on the Google Maps. I'll print all that stuff out. So I'm making a packet as I'm going through this, and then I'll look for the owners on Facebook or LinkedIn, and I kind of try to get a vibe for what kind of person they are by their pictures. Not everybody pops up, but yesterday that guy that I spoke to, um, Raj, I looked him up. He looked more laid back, tattoo sleeves on one hand, family guy, had his daughter in the picture. I found out one of the guys on the Secretary of State website was his dad. So when I called him and I spoke to him, I sent him the quote. He was really impressed because I did my homework. I go, I seen your menu. It looks good. He had matcha lattes, he had all this stuff. And we can relate on that level because I'm a coffee drinker. I like tea. So we connected on that point. And then because I saw tattoos. I know he was a little bit more laid back, especially a sleeve tattoo. So
Hmm.
I started, all right, bro, I want to help you out. So if it was, a different gentleman with a tie, I might not say bro, I would say sir. And I kind of adapt to the client. And the guy, I give him the quote. He loves it. It's way cheaper than Hartford, and it's not always about price, but the connection, right? So we got that connection, and he called me and he goes, "Dude, I love that how quick you are with the quotes." I emailed him a quote at well, actually, he didn't need a quote for the what do you call it, the coffee
Like
place.
the coffee place.
He
Hmm.
needed a quote for another property that is just a building. He owns it, he leases it out. So I go, cool. I'll win that account, and then I can jump to the restaurant or back to the coffee
Hmm.
place. I I I I emailed it at 6, 7 o'clock at night. At 10 o'clock, he responded. He loves it. I emailed it back. I just need the okay. I'll push it through. Midnight, he messaged me. I woke up at 3 in the morning to go to the restroom. I checked my phone. I saw the message, and then I got on my Google Chrome on my phone, and then I closed the deal, sent him the invoice, and I'm waiting for him to pay. He called me. He had a couple questions before he paid, and he loves the price. So I know in a couple minutes I'll probably text you, hey, I closed it. Now, no, not too big. It's only 7,000. But the thing is, they got my foot in the door, and now he likes my vibe. He likes the way I talk. I do my homework, and he was impressed that I looked at the inside of his building because he did the Google Maps where you can go inside the building, and he
Hmm.
has a cool little setup. And I told him like I like that. It has like a friends theme, and he goes, "You're right. That's kind of what I was going for. The little uh, atmosphere in my coffee shop, So all that stuff helps, especially right. I mean, I would think they wouldn't get too creeped out because I'm looking for stuff, but it's all public information. It's not like I pried into
Hmm.
something secretive. And he was happy that I did my homework, So that's my whole process. And usually with every client, I try to get that connection because once that connection is set, the price is second. And then if the coverage is close, you win the account every time.
Because they're looking for more of a friend than just competing just on price. Because at the end of the day, I mean, everyone has access to relatively the same carriers. The rates are going to be relatively the same. So at the end of the day, for you to stick out, it's more of that interaction with them, becoming their friend, building a little bit of that rapport, going that extra mile, showing that hey, I did my research. That all definitely makes sense. There's some great tips.
Yeah, and it's only one client out of all the leads that was kind of offended because I said her address and she was like, "Wait, that's my home address. How did you know that?" I'm like, "Well, it's on the SOS on the website, So if you don't like that, you might put a PO box on it." So she was happy for that, but I sent over the quote for her bar, and she's waiting for her broker to get back to her. It's been 2 weeks. She's been waiting for her, so they're
Oh
impatient.
wow.
The brokers, I mean, the clients want instant feedback. So what I do too, if I know it's gonna be a good client, I'll
Hmm.
text them from my personal cell phone number. And I tell them, look, you got my personal number. Whenever you have any questions, after hours, weekend, call me. I always answer. If I don't answer, send me a text. I will text you back. And that sets you apart because most brokers don't do that. It's Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.
And
If
it
you
takes
give
them
me,
weeks to get back.
yeah, this one's 2 weeks, and all she wants is a copy of the report. But I know why he's doing that because he knows that she's shopping, so he wants to delay that inevitable moment it's going to happen. But that only makes it worse because then it makes them more eager to leave you than if you just said, "Here you go, make sure it's a good deal wherever you go," and maybe
Hmm.
it gives you a chance to rebuttal that estimate from the other broker if it's not the correct coverage or the price is a little funny. So you take a second look at it and you notice that they left out something really important in that policy.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. And then even doing that, like you're saying, I know you're mentioning you looked at like some pictures of their facilities and just to kind of get your foot in the door too. Is that really your strategy now? Is because a lot of these business owners too that we're connecting you with, it seems like a lot of them have other businesses. They have other relations that they're
A
kind of
lot.
bringing you to other people. So even though it says on the lead, it says, hey, they own this restaurant. A lot of them own a lot more than that. A lot of them are serial entrepreneurs.
A
So
lot
what
of
what
them
are you
are.
doing to that they are? That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, that's why I think 4 or 5 that I sent you, they're not even listed your leads, but I give them to you because I want you to take credit for it because you sent me the guy that owns one guy, Amar. He's a great dude. He's from Stockton. He owns 7 restaurants and he leases 2 buildings. And this guy loves my
There you
work
go.
ethic.
He loves you.
Yeah, and he's gonna give me everything. And so that's 7 BOPs. That's 2 lesser risk and 7 work comp policies. So that's a huge client. And we
Hmm.
actually talked on the phone, and we want to set up a day to go meet in person because he just loves the way I interact with him, and I everything he needs is like, but this guy's a little bit more, professional. So it's yes sir, no sir. There's no bro in the conversation, but you get that vibe right away when you talk to these people, So you kind of have to adapt to the situation and the person.
Definitely. And then what are you doing as kind of your lead in? As you using, is there a specific policy, or you kind of just figure out where you can get your foot in the door, and then from there it's just one
No,
policy and you're cross selling from there.
usually what happens is I have all the information that I need to do the quote, right? So I researched them. I got everything, the year bill on the building. I find it online. Um, there's this 360 value website. You log in, you pay like $5 or $8 per report, and it pulls up like the year bill, the square footage on the building. If you can't find it for free online, you go to that website, 360 value, and they
Mhm.
pull up all the information that you need. And then by the time I talk to the client, I'm 80% done with the application. So all they need to answer is like 4 questions, and I got them a price. And most of the time when I do that, they say, scrap the restaurant. I need help with this one now. And I don't ask for other information. I just or other business. I just ask for that one lead I got, and they're the ones that refer me to the other part, And then once they're done, I know that the guy I worked with yesterday, he likes a bunch of coffee places. So he has friends that own other coffee places. So when we talked today, I dropped a little hint, you know what, if you like the way I work, if you refer a couple of your clients, I would appreciate that. And he goes, oh, definitely. I like the way you work. I like your ethic. I'm going to go ahead and refer you to my friends. So that because I knew he left other reviews on his Facebook page to show that he left reviews for other coffee shops that aren't his. So that means he knows them or
There you
been
go.
there at least. So
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
those
that's
little
how you
insider
start
tips,
looking.
dropping those hints there.
Yeah, because I mean, one day I get 5 leads and one day I get one or two. But I mean, if you can turn those 2 leads into like 4 policies and then get referrals from those four, it's you start growing faster than you can handle, and then you end up calling Ethan asking him to slow it down a little because you can't keep up with all these quotes coming in.
No, exactly. And then it just becomes a big machine there. It's that flywheel effect of you start getting here and there. And because, of course, the king's always going to be referrals. They're coming to you, they're borrowing the authority of whoever that actually referred them in that case. But it's all going to start with you got to get out there, get in front of more people. And then
Yeah,
those people turn into more referrals and more referrals. And they just kind of get that flywheel going and smooths
yeah.
out that curve of if you're only relying on referrals and word of mouth, I mean, it's only going to get you to a certain point.
Yeah, and then not off topic, but I tell
Mhm.
people you don't have to be in a storefront area or in a big city. I'm in a city population is 8,000 people. So people don't understand that you don't have to have a big, nice office in middle of the city to attract people. You can close. Like I joke with the guys. They go, I feel like just locking my doors, turn off my phones, and just work on these leads and work on those referrals from those leads. And I think we'll make more money, less work than if we're just doing personalized walk-in traffic. And I mean, luckily, I'm in a high traffic area in a small town, but it's still, I think, no matter where you're at in California, you can make money. You can be,
Mhm.
I mean, if you have a good routine, you can be in your basement, just sign over the phone, and you're gonna be fine.
No, that definitely makes sense because sometimes I hear too is a little bit of hesitation of being like, oh, sometimes I need to meet with them in person, and like California's a big state. I mean, I know you're closing people in 4 or 5 hours away. Is it just mostly through the phone? Are you doing Zoom calls, or what's your strategy for that? It's just
Everything
being
is,
personable, really.
yeah, phone, text, email, and it's just being, just friendly with the person and just understand that, I have seen brokers that take on the I'm superior because I know more insurance about you, so they talk down to clients, whereas I take the I put my hand on your shoulder and like a brother approach. Hey, I'm going to help you out because I have a business and this happened to me one time and I almost got sued for this, so you don't want that happen to you. So they start seeing like, oh, this guy's he's next to me, he's trying to help me out, not trying to sell me a policy. He's trying to coach me to get the right coverage so he won't go through what he's going through. So I share a lot of my personal experiences with the business owners because that's how you click, right? Because even though I'm an insurance agent, I'm also a business owner. I own, 2 insurance offices, a body shop. So I go through the cycles of the economy up and down, and I try to give them, my opinion, and they give me their advice, which we go back and forth. So that's how you start building that relationship with the client.
No, it makes sense. It all stems from just be human. Because a lot
Yeah.
of sometimes the agents it, it, they're not as personable. They're just there and just it's another quote, kind of just get it out. But if you're
Yeah.
personal, I mean, it makes a huge difference there.
Yeah, I know with me, I like to joke with the clients a little bit just to kind of test their sense of humor with me, I guess, because I guess with someone else they could be, super relaxed and not with me. But a lot of them open up right away and they start going on first name basis, but nicknames. So it's really cool. Basically, I'm adding a lot of contacts to my cell phone, my personal cell phone now, which I'm okay with because they're all big clients and they're all, bringing big premium and they're referring me their friends. So I think it's going to be, a good relationship here going out further with, because I had told you when we first talked that let's try 1 month, see how I feel, how I like it.
Mhm.
And then from there, I go, I don't mind locking in for the full year as long as I get my leads. And no, I mean, I think
Mhm.
you've come nothing short of, everything, the expectations are there.
Appreciate
And
it.
I just had to get my feet under me because at one point I did feel like stopping and just saying, what, I can't handle it. But I figured, no, why do I stop, right? And then what I text you, like, screw it, let's do it, just keep going. And sure enough, I sat there and I go, there has to be a better way. And then when I started bringing that routine down, it's easy, right? You can't let the little mini roadblocks stop your code, right? If you don't have the date of birth, put a placeholder on there. Make sure it's in there just to get the quote, and then correct it on the back end. Don't worry about the names not spelled correctly. Make sure, I hear this a lot from my old district manager in my old captive days. There was an agent that would just sell so much, and he wanted to go talk to him because he wanted to get the advice to talk to his other agents and
Mhm.
explain what this guy was doing. And, for lack of better words, he just said, shut the F up, get the money and run. So basically, what he meant was once you got the policy sold, just sell it, get it done, and then worry about the rest afterwards, right? Like if it's something that's not going to, put you in jail or it's not going to jeopardize the client, like a misspelling on the policy, right? Don't stop the whole process to resubmit it to underwriting. Just push it through and endorse it, and then you're fine. And that's a little thing that I've learned that a lot of agents make their own roadblocks to closing out the deal. And if you, there, as it is already, there's a lot of roadblocks. And if you
Mhm.
adding more to your road to success, it's gonna stump you. You're gonna get frustrated. You're gonna say, you know what, Ethan, I don't want to deal with this anymore. I can't give up. But really, the leads are there. If you have the right tools and the leads are coming in and you're making the due diligence to look them up really quick, research them, then it's not a big deal. You call them, make notes, follow up with them, keep following up. There's one client, it took me about a month to close. I think this is one I just closed today from Oakland. I've been on his radar since September 26th. And I've been calling him, emailing, calling, and I don't stop because he didn't tell me to stop. He just said tomorrow, later. I'm waiting
There you
for
go.
my landlord to check on the policy. I'll get back to you. And finally today he calls me, and then I just messaged you earlier. Was like, hey, I sold this one, and it
Yeah.
took a month.
Hmm.
So you can't give up, even though they say, tomorrow. Then take it as it's tomorrow. It's tomorrow, and that's it until they give in and finally buy with you.
No, definitely. And that's what I see as well. I mean, unless my motto is like you're gonna keep following up with them because at one point they were interested. So
Yeah,
you might as well take they did say they were interested. So unless they tell you not to contact them anymore or
yeah,
that like they give you a flat out no, like things always it all relates back to change. I mean, no one really likes change and there's
yeah,
always some uncertainty with that. So if you're able to just kind of keep hammering them, especially from the follow up, I mean, follow up's king. If you weren't gonna follow up with that person, you wouldn't have closed that deal. So just keep getting
yeah,
back in front of them and of course don't bother them too much. But if you're doing it at a good cadence and you're hammering them, you've got kind of your hit list of people that
yeah.
you can bind and close as policies. Keep going after them.
There's one restaurant working on. It's a big deal in Carlsbad, and I follow him on Instagram, right? And this is what helps. It shows that he's been down for 2 or 3 days, closed for maintenance and repairs. So I'm not bugging him because I don't want to mess with him. He's not in a good mood. I mean, I would have been in a good mood if I was closed for business for 3 days. for repairs and maintenance, you're losing money from not being open, and then you're putting money into the building. So I go, you know what? I'm not gonna bug this guy. I'm gonna wait until I see him reopen. Wait a day or two until I see that he's probably back making money in a good mood, and then I'll call him. But this is a big deal, and I don't want to burn my bridges too quick on hey, this guy bugs too much or whatever the case may be. So that's why following him on Instagram is pretty cool because you get to see the real person, right? Not just the Google pictures, but you see the entertainment side, you see the vibe, you see the owners hanging out, drinking, and you see that they're laid back. So you're kind of like, all right, cool. These guys are a little bit more, maybe my style, maybe not my style. So I need to be a little bit different or whatever the case may be. But I click almost with every client that I'm there. It's seldom where one client doesn't really want to go further than one or two things. But I mean, you get those clients that no matter what, you give them a good deal, better price, but there's something in the background, right? Either they have this loyalty to their broker or to the company that they don't want to leave. So after a while, you kind of gotta give up. But rarely do I give up on the follow ups. If I have to send a text through my Slack. I have a clerk or I think yeah clerk chat through my Slacker, so
Mhm.
I text them through my office number all the time and it works. And then the ones that I see are good clients, I'll text them from my cell phone, be like, hey, I text you from my desk app, but if you want to get a hold of me like directly, here's my cell phone. And I think people get like, oh man, he gave me his cell phone, and it's not a big deal, right? People always say, well, they're gonna call you on your days off. You don't have to answer. You could just forward that text to your office and let them deal with it, and that's it. If it's that that inconvenient for you to respond to that person or whatever the case may be.
Oh, definitely, definitely, and then even too, another aspect, just being human. You're making more of a friend, especially with these bigger policies. That's what it's all
Yeah.
about. I mean, that's the way that you stand out from all the other brokers that are out there, is just building that personal relationship. And in terms of your team, because I know you're building your team and everything out now, how are you relaying a lot of this information to them? And are you are you training them constantly? Like, let's say for someone who's pretty new, what advice would you give them as far as like building out a team, building out producers, training the producers, and if they're not as experienced as you, they're starting from a different place.
I would I would have them first learn because you can't be a teacher of something you don't know, right? So if you're in the trenches
You're
at the
right.
beginning and you're taking all the calls and you're trying to figure out how to do it, and then you find, whether it's my method or your method, whatever method works for you, and you can copy and paste it, that's when you start training other people, right? But the first thing is you have to get your hands dirty. You have to get in there and jump in and do it, right? Because commercial wasn't my thing. I came from captive company, 10 years, personal lines, that's all I did. I tried doing commercial trucking last year. That was a mess. I couldn't do it. It was just too much maintenance, too much competition in that side of the world where it's hard to get those contracts and it's hard to win over those truckers, right? And then, I started doing commercial lines maybe a month or two before I talked to you. And I was doing okay. And I got a little bite of like the success bug. And I saw your ad come up and I was like, you know what? I need to invest in something. I need to try something at least once, see if it works or doesn't work. And I like that there was no contract with you. There was no commitment for 12 months. And usually there's always some kind of commitment, but the whole 1 month deal really gave me like that first dose of like, wow, this is going to work, once I get everything handled. And now I honestly, during the middle of the first month, I kind of dreaded hearing that slacker go off because I was like, dude, I can't keep up with this guy. And then and then now, like, I know there's some days it's slow, and I was sending little crickets, like, man, what's going on, man? I'm waiting
Yeah.
for more quotes. And then today, I think we got like 5 or 4 in one day. So I'm gonna be here, and then I'll be here past like 5 o'clock. I'll be here till like 7:38. And a lot of people, I'll email them. After hours, I won't text them because I don't know them, but I'll email them. And I like when they email back because I'll email right away to let them know, like, man, this guy's he's on his email, he's on it. And
Mhm.
that shows them like this guy's ready to work and make money and help me out when I need help. That's the main thing. Because the biggest complaint I hear about everybody that switches over was I've been with him for 10 years, for 8 years, 6 years. He doesn't call me back. He doesn't have time for me. So
Like, get
that
complacent.
yeah, that's the tough part. So I know what you don't need to do is don't like even if it's basically, hey, I can't do it, but I'll have my staff do it for you. That is good enough, right? But these guys have clients for 10 years, 8 years, and they're losing them to me that I've never seen them in person. I'm pretty sure they met in person and did business, shaking hands, and me it's over the phone. And they like that. They like that because a lot of people are more interested in just servicing, just answer my call. And these business owners, they're busy. They want to
I got
get their
tons of
stuff
things
done
going
in and
on.
out. And if you can fill out 80% of the application for them, and all you need is a couple questions, you're golden. So I always tell people in any business, whether it's like our body shop or insurance, I think the one piece of advice I give everybody in any business, if you can make someone's life easier, they will pay you, right? So if you feel like eating
Right.
pizza and you don't know how to make it, and the pizza place down the street will make your life easy by making it for you, what do? You go and you pay them because they made your life easy,
Hmm.
right? So whatever business it is, if you make insurance easy for people, they are more likely to buy with you because you made the process easy. Instead of setting up a package of 17 pages of court forms, fill this out, fill that out. Yeah, skip all that. Do it yourself. Earn the first year commission. After that, enjoy the residuals just coming in afterwards.
That's a great tip. That's a great tip because I see sometimes some agents they're calling them and asking like, how do you spell your first name? Like what's your last name again? Like all this stuff is just, I mean, you can look it up. We give that information, the business owner's name, just put that down. And it's those little things that, because when you're shopping for insurance or you're looking for insurance, you don't want to
Yeah,
answer all these little questions that are like obvious little things that you can just look up.
yeah.
So don't ask those. Ask the serious questions that you don't have answers to. Get that going, put that quote through, get it back to them quickly as quickly as possible, and move on to the next one.
Yeah, because I mean, honestly, that's all it is. Just get a pricing because people, there is more to quoting and than it is that people realize. But if you can make it really simple, so what they're picturing in their head is they give me a couple quotes. Here's four. Wow, that quick. Oh yeah, well, other guy, he takes forever. Well, not he takes forever. It's just he does his homework after he talks to you instead of before he calls you. So you
Mhm.
jump the gun and you have this lead in front of everybody. And these guys are calling, can I get your, is it corporation? Is it LLC? What's the exact spelling of the LLC? And you already got all that stuff. And you're just calling and asking employees, payroll, gross sales, tax ID, and do you own or lease a building? That's it. And everything else you got to handle.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And then as far as last question, I'll let you go. This has been awesome. This is super helpful to everyone watching. What is your, I guess, what's your opener when you first get on the phone with someone? You call them, like, how do you introduce yourself? How do you frame that first conversation?
Oh,
Or does it depend on who
that
it
it
is?
depends on the person. Watch
Okay.
this one guy, Gaetano. He owns an Italian restaurant, right? Gaetano, something like the language is Italian, but Spanish understands, right?
Hmm.
So when I'm looking at him, I go, how am I gonna approach this guy? I'm gonna call him, and I'm gonna be like, hey, this is Tony, right? So I call it in a little Spanish. Buenas, ¿cómo estás, Gaetano? Soy Antonio. And right away they're like, oh, Antonio, and he has
He
a
goes right
big
into it.
big Italian accent, right? And it's heavy. And we're going back and forth talking. I throw Spanish in there, I sprinkle it in there. So it kind of resembles Italian, language. So we connect more, right? And when I see like, if I see what's another name where I use difference, right? Oh, mine's going blank. I know there is one, and I mean the name was more so basically what I'm trying to say is depending on the person and my research, I'm going to use Antonio, Anthony, Tony, or Antonio. It just depends on how I read the person, and I'll use the name that kind of will suit them a little bit easier, right? I think like in my other town where we're at, right? It's a little bit more of third generation Mexican, so it's a little bit
Hmm.
more, English speaking. Over there, I'm known as Tony. Everybody knows me, Tony. Tony. Oh, Tony, the barbershop guy. Tony, Tony, Tony. Here in Mendota, it's primarily Hispanic. It's like 99% Hispanic, and it's Spanish speaking almost all the time, right? Right here, they know me as Antonio or Tonio, which is the Spanish version nickname for Antonio, the short version.
Hmm.
And that is kind of how people get to know you, right? Because if someone comes in here and they say Tonio, they can relate more to that than Tony or Anthony, right? So depending on the person is how I open up the message. And then once that goes, I kind of just go by ear and see how they're going back and forth. If they're really polite and reserved, I tone it down and I'm like, hey, this is Antonio. Nice to meet you from GIA Insurance. We're going back and forth. But if I call a guy that has a tattoo sleeve and he's, laid back, I could throw in the bro, and the guy goes, "Oh man, I love your vibe, dude. You're good." And I clicked a lot easier, right? But if I called him and like, "Hey, this is Antonio Gonzalez from GIA Insurance," he might not open up as much, might not be able to close the lead because it doesn't seem like we have the right personality for each other. So
That all
that's
makes tons of sense.
yeah.
Yeah,
so
we're
I, so
all just been something.
so I changed my name, quite a bit, but I mean it's all the same, just the different ways you say it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's always the first impression too. I mean, if you're going into a conversation and you leave a bad mark, you come off a little bit too harsh. It's about kind of matching their energy. If they're super upbeat, be super upbeat. If they're like a little more reserved, a little bit laid back, just kind of pause a little bit and then get right into the conversation there.
That comes more for like the experience. So little by little, you start seeing like, all right, this guy could be, super, super, conservative. Other guy could be more laid back. Not all the clients. Some clients throw f bombs, so you're back and forth. All right, cool. This guy's, he's no filter, so they can relate on that. So it just you have to kind of like just like ear by ear on every conversation, kind of see how they're talking, and then go back and forth. And then the better you can relate to them, the more likely you're going to close that deal. The more likely you get more referrals from that one client. And then who knows, you build a relationship with a real friend, and they invite you. A lot of the guys I talked to, they all invited me to go eat at the restaurant for free. But I'm like, dude, I'm gonna spend like 4 hours to go see you, man. So I told the guys that we got to make a plan, like a day trip where we hit one spot for breakfast, one spot for lunch, one spot for drinks, spend
So
the
it,
night, and then come back home. That way we can kind of like every now and then, take out the office and get to hang out with our clients, and they see that we're regular people. We just do insurance, but we're just regular, just like me and you, and we're here to help you. We're more than just salesmen. We're friends.
that's awesome, Antonio. That's a super good tips and everything, and that's why I mean you're closing these great deals and you're able to keep up with them and be happy and everything and just have that positive attitude too. Because every time I call you, I know you're always upbeat about it and you always
Yeah.
are optimistic, which is amazing. It's a great
you,
personality to have.
you got to be, especially in this economy. It's you got to be really optimistic because if you get into that little funk, it's gonna, it'll snowball into your
Yeah.
calls. Even smiling on the phone when you're talking, it shines through the phone, even though you can't see it. There's some kind of vibe that people give off when they're smiling on the phone instead of like, oh, what do you need? All right, give me this next. It's kind of like this guy's boring, man. I need to talk to someone else.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, I really appreciate it, Antonio. That was an amazing tips and tricks and little tactics and everything to help all these other agencies grow. Anything else you want to leave anyone with?
No, not the moment, but I mean, if anybody is, willing to talk to me or ask me for advice, I mean, you can give them my information. I can talk to them and explain kind of what I do, and I can even email them what my little packet does, and they can just go step by step, and then give it a shot. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, well, that's fine. Use your own little method that works. But whatever it is, just follow up.
Awesome, man. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you very much, Antonio. This was great, and good luck with everything. And looking forward to continue working with you and bring you some big deals.
Likewise, thank you. Appreciate it.
Awesome, man.